And this is a testament to anybody that ever hears this. Somebody sits you down and they say, you know what, dude, you're going to have to go through this. You got an obstacle to overcome here. You're going to struggle with this and you can't do that. If I would have listened to that, I would never be in the place that I'm in. I overcame that and I said, dude, sit on it, dude. I'm good. I'll figure it out. I'm an overcomer. Dude, if I went through what I went through in addiction and prison, I can overcome anything and go anywhere.
Welcome to another episode of the Powerless to Powerful Recovery podcast. My name's Jason. I'm an alcoholic and addict. As always, our mission is to share experience, strength, and hope across multiple media platforms, the story of addiction and the road to recovery. We are not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous or any other 12-step based organizations or groups in any way, but we are back with another show. And my co-host, he's been gone the last couple episodes and I'm starting to stutter, but my co-host is back this time. He is here. Shout out Ronnie, no matter what. Ron Alessi is in the building. What's up, Ron?
Here we go.
New you, new teeth, brother? Give me a big smile. God, he got the teeth done. I mean, it look good, feel good.
Fix your credit, fix your teeth.
Fix your credit, fix your teeth. I mean, that's what they say. But before we go any further, brother.
Come on.
Before we go in, today might possibly be one of the most special guests we've ever had. I mean, because this dude's very, very mysterious. I'll give you a little bit of backstory on this man. This man helped save my life. This is my sponsor. My sponsor's here today.
What?
He helped me save his life. And I had known him before he became my sponsor when I was still running and gunning on the yard, and I had seen him because we met in prison, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Okay? I used to see him already. He's got some tattoos. You see he's got the tattoos. He's always had the tattoos, okay? Well, he also used to have hair down to his butt cheeks, okay? Tattooed, short, long hair, best tattoos on the yard. Fucking mysterious, dude. Mysterious. Okay? And I used to see him all around, dude. And then finally, when it was my time, God put him in my life, and things have changed. Matt Lankford is on the show today.
Let's go.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Oh, man, this makes me so happy. Not only is he an all-star in the recovery community, 11 plus years of recovery, my sponsor, he officiated my damn wedding. What a miracle that is. All these years later. He did an amazing job, dude. Shout out for that. You did an amazing job with that. But most importantly today, he is a partner and chief sales officer with Valor Contracting. And we're here. I wanted to say contracting, construction, roofing, solar, repair, replace, because you do it all, brother.
That's right.
But you know the name of the game is we don't repair, we replace.
That's right.
Right? That's the name of the game. I know that from the windshield game.
Yeah.
You know how long I was in the windshield game for, Ron?
How long?
About 4 years. You know how many chip repairs I did?
How many did you do?
Zero. Zero, brother. We're going to replace the whole thing.
We have to.
We have to. Of course. So, but before we go any further, man, Matt, welcome, dude. Thank you for being on the show.
No, you're welcome, dude. It's an honor to be here, dude, to sit with you guys. It's super, super cool, man. And I always appreciate the energy, man, be able to sit on here and tell the story.
I mean, when you think about how we met, can you remember? And I just kind of want to, because this is the question I want you to think about it. Now that you have a little bit more time from the wedding and a couple different experiences to meet Matt, right? Now you see us side by side together and really see if he copied me or I'm copying him. I copied him, man. He showed me the way, brother, right? But I wanted everything that this man has, and I still try to be just like this man right here, right? Because it's so very important, and so I remember when I got sober and I came and everybody's heard my story all around, and I during this period of time of picking up the worst drug habit in the middle of an 8-year prison sentence, when I was at Florence North Unit, when you were a troublemaker, they'd send you to Kingman because it was no fun in Kingman. If you want to be dumb in Kingman. That's where all the dummies are.
Dummies.
Yep. So I get to Kingman, Arizona. I don't make any friends. I don't win any fights. I don't straighten up, and I don't find recovery. But what I do find is the hole. And in the hole, I found some willingness and some open-mindedness to want to do some things different. And I thought for sure after that 100+ days in the hole that I would not go back to where Matt was and where I was previously, which was Florence North Unit. But for the grace of God, I came back to that yard. And when I came back to that yard, I owed a bunch of money on the yard, and to one person in particular, Josh S. Shout out to him. Was also in the wedding. I gave him fake Western Union numbers before I left. Like, here you go, bro. Pick up the money. He'll tell you he didn't even try to pick it up. He knew they were fake. So when I came back, I wanted to make an amends to him for the fake numbers. Tell him I'm sorry. Step 9. That's the only way I knew how to work any steps. And he said, hey, man, you want to make it right? I said, yeah. He said, well, come to a meeting today. Come to a meeting today if you want to make it right. He had found recovery, and he told me, I don't want to leave you behind. Right. And so I said, all right, whatever. I'll go to that meeting. It was a nacho meeting. They used to throw a little nacho party to attract newcomers. So I was hungry. So I went to the party, and I went to the nacho party, and then the meeting happened. And then in that meeting, just like it talks about in the doctor's opinion, from a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. I talked with him for some time, but was not able to bring myself to feel I had known him before. To me, he was a stranger, and a long time has passed with no return to alcohol, right? And that's from the doctor's opinion. And what that paragraph is just a description of what happens when you lay eyes on somebody who you knew were just as bad as you, had hit the bottoms that you had hit, had used as in sixth gear like the way that you used, and all those things. And then you see them and you don't even recognize them. The look in their eye, the tone of their voice, how high they hold their head, their features, all those things. And Matt always looked the same. So I didn't get that from him, but what I did get that from was from Adam. And shout out to Ronnie Allen, R.I.P. And shout out to Maui, and shout out to Adam, and these guys that I knew were, sucked up like a Safeway chicken 90 days ago. When I walked in, the look of their eye, the tone of their voice, I said, holy shit. If they can do it, I can do it too. And I was sobbing. And Matt we were in a trailer, and he was sitting about this far away from me. And I think Adam said, hey, dude, when this dude comes in here today, he's broke down, dude. We need you to fucking talk to his soul. I think they said that to him. I don't know if they did or not. Okay. But he talked to my soul, bro. And I'm crying. I got snot bubbles. I can't even speak. He's looking dead into my eyes. And I'm like, oh my God. As soon as the meeting ended, I was like, dude, I think I need to ask that man to be my sponsor. And the yard closed. The very next morning, I saw Adam first thing in the morning, and I said, hey, sponsor that guy, Maddie. And there he was. And he called him over, and I got a sponsor. And from that minute, dude, my life changed, dude.
Man.
I started to show up. We worked the steps. We did every damn thing we could possibly do. And when I showed up for the first time, I said, bro, I need some socks. I don't have anything. I don't got a TV. I don't got a radio. I don't have socks. I've been in prison for 3 years. My wife wants a divorce. My parents don't even want to talk to me anymore. I got nothing. I got nobody. I owe everybody on the yard money. They're all looking at me crazy, and I don't have any money. And he said, this is great, dude. This is exactly where you need to be, dude. Come here. Gave me a hug. Said it couldn't get much better than this, And he said, at least now you got time to focus on the book, And that's what we did. And that was over 7.5 years later, officiating weddings, experiences like this. You got out a couple years before me, staying in communication via emails, dude, and just having that support system through you coming out ahead of a lot of us that were in the recovery community, paving the way, showing us that it translates from North Unit out here on the streets. And it's just been, just an amazing, amazing thing, dude. You remember that, dude?
100%.
I had good size of me. I was still in pretty good shape when I met you.
You were in good shape. 20 pounds lighter, right? A little bit stronger. But, dude, it's an honor to be able to sit here for sure and to be able to revisit what took place on that yard, or just in that small little circle, right? Some people may call it a trailer, they may call it a program, but what it was this tight-knit circle, dude, of people that were walking in that were so desperate that wanted to really transform their life because they were standing in a circle of pain, suffering, adversity, through addiction, being a junkie, or just trying something and failing over and over and over and over again. The one thing I always remember that really stuck out to me, because I know that you see it your way, let me tell you how I see it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right?
That'd be great.
The big thing is I remember being in there with close-knit people, right? And my story is the same as everybody else's. I just wanted to do good because I had failed and flat on my face many, many different times, right? And I discovered the 12 steps in the program, and as I walked through these things, from the step 1 being the biggest one, to letting all that stuff out in 4 and 5, and then being of service at steps 10, 11, and 12, the big thing is when I was in there, I felt alive. I felt I was a contributor. I felt that I had purpose, I had identity, and I felt and knew that I carried a power that was on a spiritual level to give to the people that needed it. And I can read it all over their face. Why? Because I used to be there. This is the program at whole. And when you came through, I knew when you were huddled up like this in between two people, okay? Now we're talking, right?
Yeah,
you were huddled up right there, and you were just waiting for something. You knew that you needed it, man, and it just needed to be sent like a missile to rock you. And that's what I did, and I still do that today. And the one thing you kind of talked about was, hey, you're right, you're in the right place. I always look at that pain, suffering, adversity. Even my guys, my people, my family, everybody, it's like, dude, hold on to that adversity. You got a tear, save it, man. Revisit that. Anchor yourself to it. Because at that moment, I believe in your life, Jason, you were listening more then, and you were open more than any other time in your life. And that was the moment that transformed your life to all the way till now. And we each have that same story, man. And Adam and Josh, and I'm so linked with you guys that it's unreal. Ron, it's unbelievable, dude, to be able to revisit those stories. Each one of them are different. How me and Adam came about, me and you, me and Josh, me and Maui, all those different people. But the one thing that correlates with everybody is that surrender. That ability to say, you know what? I've tried to do it many, many times. I cannot and will not. And I've decided I'm not gonna. I'm not doing it, dude. I'm going to do what these guys are doing. So that's how I remember that, dude. And it was, to be honest with you, man, we were on, dude, man, that was like the dojo, man. That was like the arena, wasn't it?
I just got the chills. I'll never be able to describe the power that was on that yard. And I mean, and all the men that were there, all of their lives are a direct reflection of it today. When you can sit back and remember 40 individuals that were all on that 12-step meeting on that yard together, and now they're all out, all off parole, all off probation, all still sober and successful and helping others, all from the same time period.
Yep.
It's unheard of, you know, and it's God, really, you know, and every single one of us showed up to do our part, though, you know, and I think that was the biggest thing, is showing up to do your part, and then surrounding and not letting each other off the hook too. Yeah. You know, and I'll share one more thing. I don't want to get too much into just reconnecting me, man. But, you know, with the amends process, right? And I don't know if he even remembers this. So on the amends process, you know, he wanted me to make an amends to the cops who took away my visitation, that took away my visits. And I had the reservation that if I ever lost my visits, then I would get high again. I lost my visits because I couldn't keep my hands and myself in there. So I lost them. I got high. That run ended to me finding Maddie, right? And so now when we start talking about making these amends, and he lived across yard too. So we used to be buzzed through a gate, walk across a real street, and they let us into the other side of the yard, which the substance abuse building I had was over there anyways. So I could go back and forth, not a big deal, right? And so I would go over there to see him, and he'd be like, hey, Lieutenant Randolph, RoboCop piece of shit asshole, like the worst cop, right? What's up with that amends? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get to that one. I'm going to do that one. I'm going to get to that one. Like, okay, cool. All right. Yeah. It's dude, I kept seeing him. I would come over there. I'll come over. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. One day he walks me over there and he stands with me at the gate. I was like, all right, dog. He's like, we're going together, you know, and he walked me over there together, and he didn't go in there with me, but he just walked me up to make sure I got into visitation, and I made an amends to the visitation staff. And then the book talks about 9 times out of 10 the unexpected happens, because the very following day I had an amends set up for my brother, but I didn't have visits. I only had non-contact visits 2 hours behind the glass. The prior day I made the amends. The next day my brother was showing up so I can do an amends to him. Hadn't talked to him in a year since I tried to borrow money to Mexico on a cell phone. He didn't like it. And so I show up for the Friday visit. And I already know where to go. Hard left into the cube. It's non-contact, cuffed, and the cop says, "Hey," he said, "Come here, man." He says, "As a matter of fact, we gave you your visits back early. We appreciated the amends that you made, and we've called your brother, and we're going to give you a full visit with your brother for all 8 hours a day. And he knows he's got quarters, and he's here." And it just gave me that time. And that was just one of the many, many, many different outcomes when these things worked out when we actually do the part, man. So. And I know Ron knew me before, and then Ron saw the change when I got released, and then seeing Maddie and Josh and Adam and all these guys that we're all friends together now, it's just a pretty cool thing to see.
That's the amazing part for me, as I was sitting here listening to you guys. I can just sit here and listen to you guys for this whole podcast. But for me, you know, the living, breathing example that I get to see in you and Adam, who I've gotten close to, right? Mm-hmm. Who we have a special connection, right? We're all connected. Yep. God wears people clothes, and I truly believe that, and that love inside of us. And, you know, through my friendship with Jason and our journey before him going to prison and then getting out and then meeting you, and I mean, the list is endless, right? Rashawn, I sponsor Rashawn now. Mm-hmm. It's so weird, the connection, right? I get to watch this happen. I get to have a friendship with you and the other guys. And even crazier part, he met my fiance before I did. That's the crazy part. Like, like they met and they were talking through a coworker of his, and they were they became friends. And then I ended up getting with her when I get out of prison, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go see my friend Jason. She, oh yeah, I met that guy. This is crazy. All these coincidences that happen, but it's not. They're living, breathing examples when we do our part, when we show up.
Yeah.
When we show up for others, this is what happens. Our reach and our connection. And it's just awesome. I'm so glad.
Yes.
I'm so glad you're here, bro, today.
Yeah, it's
this
amazing.
is awesome for me.
Pretty,
See you smiling.
pretty cool.
Bro.
And then one more other experience that I do want to share as well, dude, because it's very pivotal for me. You know, and people ask me this question, and maybe some of you guys, as sponsees, ask you like, when was the day that you knew the obsession to want to change the way you feel is removed? Could you pinpoint it? Do you know when it happened? Do you know any of those things? And I know the exact time that it happened, right? And I had been out working out on the pull-up bar with all my sponsees. At this time, I'd been a year sober teaching the drug class. I got all the sponsees in the world. I got 10 at all point in time. I'm seeing Maddie. I'm all the way turned up on fire. And then yet I'm still thinking like, even on like anniversaries, like maybe not every once in a while, like it just ecstasy, like that shouldn't count. Like, you know, or like maybe me and my dad go to a football game. Like I'm not like, I'll have a beer with you, Dad. Like never, right? It's just never. And at that moment, was feeling so good and sponsoring guys and experiencing spirituality, and nothing really negative was happening at all in my life, yet still having those thoughts. And I'm like, damn, does this shit go away? I mean, I'm doing everything, dude. There's no reason why I shouldn't even be thinking about this shit, right? And so I remember I go across the yard, I go over to Matt's house, and I pull in him in his cube. And just think about Matt in his cube. Now, Matt is in his cube. Now, in Matt's cube, he's got the big book, he's got the Bible, he's got 4 college classes, he's got 7 self-help books that he's reading at all times, and he's mentoring all 17 cubes around him at all times, right? So I blow in there, dude, and he's like, yo, look, comes. I'm like, hey, dude, I need to have a serious conversation with you, dude. And he's not even fully looking at me. He's got his books out, and I'm just right on his back shoulder like, dude, check it out. Why am I still thinking this? I'm sponsoring everyone, dude. There isn't anyone going harder than me in the paint right now for recovery, dude. Why am I still thinking this stuff, these thoughts, you know? And he looked right over at me, dude, and he looked at me, and he said, dude, I'm fucking high right now, bro. That's what you're missing, dude. I am loaded. I am high. I have just did a big old shot. And you coming over here, I'm going to do another big old shot. And that big old shot is called God. And every time I work with you, and every time I work out with sponsees, or anytime I contribute to a relationship in my life, every time I achieve my goals for the day, every time I check off my to-do list, every time I win the morning, every time I get farther in meditation than I got before, every time I do those things, dude, I do a big old shot of God. And now I just got to introduce those things into my lifestyle so I stay high on God all day. And I was like, oh shit, I'm spiritually fucked up too. I'm high right now too. All right, bye. And it clicked. It clicked because the program is an experience, and we're introducing the ways we experience God that engages the same spot in our brain that drugs and alcohol did, the pleasure center, the dopamine aspect of it. It's not the mass amount of, like a speedball would be, of course, but it doesn't come with prison sentences and crying moms and UAs and showers and Alhambra at the same goddamn time, right? And in that moment, it clicked for me, dude. And I've been able to carry that with me, amongst a ton of other things.
Yes.
But I don't want to get too far, bro, because every journey starts somewhere, and we're here to talk a little bit about you. Because you didn't just become the man, the myth, the legend overnight.
Legend.
Right? And so, and when you talk about Adam and Josh and Rashawn, I mean, Bryce, I could list probably every single one of Adam Tronier's team Maddie sponsored at some point in time because he had that fire that we all wanted, dude. And he had a way to transmit it, dude, that we were all receiving, dude. And then we were all able to transmit it, and we were all transmitting it still to this day. So pretty cool. But Matt, you were born in Phoenix, but really, I mean, your Mesa is kind of pretty much where you grew up with, running and gunning out there. So now I want you to just take a time period now just to kind of talk about what it was like growing up, the family dynamic. I know you grew up primarily with your grandma in Mesa, but mom and dad were there, a lot of action. So if you just kind of want to share what that time period was like, because things happen rather quickly. You grew up real fast.
Yes. So I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, right? I had my grandmother on my mom's side that was based out of Mesa, and she was pretty structured, right? She worked all of her life. My grandpa was a trucker, and she worked for a place called Allied Signal making parts for a plane, right? And she worked there for 30 years. They both retired. That house was the only house that I ever had in my life that was like, it was always there, right? Constantly. And my mom and dad were in and out of my life because they used drugs all my life, right? And I moved from Phoenix, went to Mesa, got into elementary. When I moved from elementary into junior high, I started experience, with drugs, with heavy drugs. My dad, he was meth addict. He started doing meth. My mom and dad, very, very, very young age, right? So ever since I could always remember when I was a young kid, very similar story to any other addict. The doors were always closed. Bikers were always out front. There was always people in and out of the house 24/7. It never stopped. It was a rotating door, right? And it's pretty crazy to talk about because you know how we all would think that's just normal. That was normal. It was like, whoa, let's go,
Tuesday,
man.
yeah.
Start up the Harley, dude, at 3:00 in the morning. We got spotlights out, dude. Some of the best dope around. And it was just, that's what it was. Partying, drinking, people in and out constantly. So I thought that was pretty normal, dude. And I kind of went into junior high with my mom and dad and my two brothers. Obviously, we're 3 years apart. I got two other brothers, 3 years apart. So I was 3 years older than my middle brother, right? So I started experiencing smoking a lot of weed. But back in the day, down in Mexico, they were bringing bricks of weed. So my dad would always have 5-10 pounds. And he was, we're talking weapons, dude, automatic weapons, going a lot of weed. So I was just handfuls of weed, right?
That in my backpack.
Yeah, not a big deal. Sling that at school, hustle this up, dude, give this to the girls, whatever. So it was, that lifestyle was more than being around a regular family sneaking around a nickel of weed.
A little bit different.
Right? A little bit different. So I started experience with methamphetamine, I think at 9 to 11 years old. Right. And at that point, dude, it was
Bella is now 13.
Yeah.
So think about that just in context. So that would be Bella when I came home in 2021.
Which is nuts,
Yes.
right? Which was nuts. So also you really got to think about in that type of environment, dude, I didn't have friends at school. My friends were my dad's friends. So my friends were heavily involved with crime.
Yeah.
And I mean heavily, bro. We're talking forgery. One of my first charges was forgery. Fake IDs, checks. Dude, I mean, you can imagine. People, you know what it is, man. People on meth, they're involved in everything, right? So that's how my childhood kind of started up. And I was probably running and gunning from probably, let's say, 11 to where I was 18 years old, commencing in theft, home invasions, doing drugs. And it started off with smoking weed. Then it's snorting speed, and then it was smoking speed, then it was slamming speed at a very young age, and then being around other people that were probably twice my age, if not more, being around those type of people, talking about what do we do when we're addicts, man? We're just running and gunning. We're thinking about the next high, the next scam, the next big thing, right? And I got involved in, home invasions and theft and, people that weren't paying a tremendous amount of dope debt and being around all that, seeing all that, which is just to sit here and talk about it is absolutely
crazy.
nuts,
At
dude.
10, 11, 12, even.
Yes, absolutely nuts, right? So I moved in from that age, kind of really stuck into the mental fortitude of methamphetamine. That's really what it was. And I had uncles and family members and outsiders that were also engaged in heroin. Back there, it was black tar heroin. That's all that it was. There's no fentanyl around or anything like that. So there was heroin. I remember just being in trap houses and in my home and people nodding out from heroin and doing speed and such. And it was pretty crazy. But then again, I thought it was all normal. It's the name of the game. So let's rock and roll, man. Let's commence.
Anybody else that I know that doesn't do this.
Right.
So
Right. It's kind of funny how you seclude yourself into another realm of people, okay? You know what type of people I'm talking about? We don't come out unless it's dark outside.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay, that's a whole nother realm.
Yeah.
But back then when I was really younger, that's really what it was, which is insane. Just sit here and talk about that stuff is absolutely nuts. But moving into my teenage years, that's what it was. That's what it was all about. And I went around and got in trouble for some of my first charges were theft and forgery, stuff like that, and in robbing houses. That's what it was, man. I was a real young kid, brought up the wrong way, and crazy thing about it was, you get into shooting speed, and it's just, hey, listen, the door, I don't care.
Especially, I mean, you're older, you're a little bit older than me, so I mean, we're talking back in the early 90s.
Yep.
late 80s
Yep.
is what we're talking about, when it
Yes.
didn't come from Mexico and super labs from Chinas and things of that nature. This came from the bikers.
Yes, and it was back in those type of days, man. Apache Junction and Mesa, everybody had a meth lab on every corner of the street, and it was pseudoephedrine was a big deal, and the government came in and was shutting it down, putting policy changes on pharmacies, giving it out over the counter, et cetera, et cetera. So that's when the bikers were really cooking it, and it was on a pure form, dude, without a doubt. It's not like it is today, but you know, that's the crazy thing about it. And let's see here.
So then quickly you pick up negative consequences.
Negative
so we're
consequences.
not even talking, but really you knew even at such a young age so fast that pretty much your mom and dad in and out of prison. I think your older brother probably already been in prison now at this time. Yep. So it's just kind of like a rite of passage. So you're about to catch a number, right? And then maybe you can, actually, try to patch into the club, right?
Yes.
Is that like your ambitions? Is that where we're at?
100. Basically what it was, what got me in serious trouble is I started doing an extreme amount of really potent methamphetamine, okay? And I started kicking in doors and robbing people and tying them up and doing all that crazy shit, which is which is crazy at a young age, right? And it's nuts to be able to think that, but it does happen, right? In the recovery community, we hear about it all the time. And when we dig in through thorough 4-steps, dude, we know that this stuff takes place, and it goes even deeper than that, right?
Sure.
And there's heavy consequences in this in Arizona with that, through the phases of first degree, second degree, third degree, theft, or what do they call it, Ron? It's
burglary. From the car to the garage to in the house.
100%. Whether it's first, second, third degree burglary, weapon involved, violent crimes, stuff like that. But I got into that, and I was probably 17 years old, dude, right? And I got some crimes, but the cops were looking for me. They were after me, right? And it was just like, you get in the car with me. Do you remember, Ron? Listen, before you step in this vehicle, let me tell you something right now. There is a chance that this vehicle will not stop. I can almost guarantee it won't stop. And if you get in this, your life is in danger, and your family's life could be in danger as well. You're locked.
I want you to know before we get moving here.
We are locked.
Just like a plane where they teach you how to buckle your seatbelt and to harness your
we are locked.
mask
We
first.
are loaded.
Yeah, put your mask on first.
And that's how it really was, man. It's a terrible tragedy, right? That those things took place, but that's where it was when I was 17. Fast forward the tape, they got me. I got my DOC number and was arrested. 17 and a half. They were waiting for me, looking for me. They didn't put too much pressure on me. They wanted to make sure they got me when I was adult, right? To where I couldn't be tried in juvenile. It was all adult. So I turned 18, and 2 days after I turned 18, I was in my own little dream world, right? Running and gunning, and they arrested me. And I got my DOC number, first charge at 18 years old for a theft and forgery and all these different crimes. You know how the state of Arizona, you're a young kid like that, they want to be lenient with you. They really, really do. You've never been in trouble before. And I think they gave me 1 to 2 years in doing that. And I jumped inside of the state of Arizona, the Department of Corrections, as a real youngster, right? 18 years old. And I did those 2 years, and it was jumping around, but I still had that drug habit getting into this, Jason, right? For those terms. And to fast forward the tape, I did 4 terms in my active addiction.
Let me ask you this. On that first prison, you've always been artistic? When did you learn how to tattoo?
I'll tell you what really built that in me right now was when I got into prison. I started to jump into prison, and I was still using. I didn't fix that obsession. I was still an active user. And it was at that point, guess what it was? There was no methamphetamine in prison. There was, but who wants to do that? It was all heroin, right? Yeah. I got stuck fighting and doing heroin and stuff in prison, and I got thrown in the hole. When I got thrown in the hole, all I had was a baby golf pencil. And I learned to split that pencil in half, soak it in water, split that pencil in half, scoot that lead right out of there, and all I got was a sheet of paper. And all I had in that thing was a wreck that was around cages and a pencil that I soaked in water that I extended out of there and I sharpened on the wall. And I sat in there with that pencil alone, no eraser, nothing, and I sit on a piece of paper. And that's how I escaped. I escaped prison through my own artwork, and that's where it started when I was 18 years old. Just constantly, man, that was my escape, was a pencil and paper.
And the evolution turned into some of the best tattoo work you're ever going to see, right? Wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild, man. So through my troubles, man, it was always that. And when I used to get lit, I used to get high. That's what I enjoyed doing, was my artwork. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have no outsiders to take care of me in prison, so that's how I supported myself. A couple things of ramen noodle soup, some chips, right? That was that pencil. That's how I hustled. That's how I made money. That's how I escaped, man. And I got better through total of 17 years I was in there. My first time, I got better and better and better. Man, that's a lot of
Can
years.
you pick up the progression from that, picking up that sense when you're 18, getting the 2 years out for just brief stays, right?
Yep.
Doing anything different maybe in any of those prison sentences, but ultimately that 10 piece.
Yeah.
Because probably you got a 2, another 2, a 5, 8 caught my attention. I'm sure 10 caught your attention real well on that one.
Yeah.
But just share just the prison sentences, the evolutions through them, or the lack of ultimately to the final one.
And this is one of the most profound things of the podcast. There's going to be a couple key moments here, powerful spots, and this is one of them because you can relate. Any addict is going to be able to relate to this, right? And there's a progression inside of addiction. And for me and my story, it was prison. So when I got out of that year, I actually learned how to go harder, if that's even possible. I went harder. If there was one gun before, dude, there was a semi-automatic weapon now. There was 2. And I'll tell you, I stayed out very short terms. It's like 3 months, 2 months, couple weeks at one time. And I came out locked and loaded. I went around the same people, went even harder. I didn't smoke nothing. I went straight to the spoon. I mean, I literally... And it was that progression really took place. So the first time I got out, I went hard. I think I was out for 3 months. I picked up a 5-year term after that. But in that 3 months, that 90 days hard, dude, it was crazy. It was a hell of a run.
Did you check in with your parole officer?
It was a hell of a run. I went immediately I remember calling up my parole officer I got high the first day. And I remember calling her up, telling her, hey, listen, I see that you're watching me. I know that you're following me. And you can try to catch me if you can. After that, the U.S. Marshals were right on top of me, and it was, dude. It was
good.
just
The Marshals are good. They're hard to get away from. Shout out to the Marshals.
They're doing great. They're great.
Great training. Much respect. Incognito minivans.
Hell of a service, man. Hell of a service. They're good, and I'll tell you, they're tough. And the training that they put on, they don't mess around. And at that point in time, this was probably about 15 years ago. They're inside. And I'm just thinking going time. These guys, they have a list of people, right, for violent offenders. And my first time, I don't think they called them roped offenders, repeat offenders. Yep, and that first time, it was like they were just, let's go see this kid. What the heck's he doing? And then from the third and the fourth time, dude, he was even crazier. The third time was the one, but they would come out and they get a list every single night in the metro area, and they know who is absconded, and they know if nobody's checked in that he's on hard drugs, and they put you on the list, and they start looking at all the motels, all the local crime, if you've been spotted, dude, everything like that. And I don't know if I was on Fox 10 News at that time or what the heck it was, dude, but I went into the same thing. Started running around with some heavy hitters right off the rip that were already wanted men, right, with selling a lot of methamphetamine, right? So I ran that gauntlet, dude, for 30 days or 90 days. Started getting really high, and the U.S. Marshals picked me up. And I think on that time I started doing forgery, so I was picking up identity theft, dude, is what it was, and getting into that, right? And from that point, I went back for 5 years, dude, inside there. Harnessed my ability to really do our artwork, right? I think I OD'd once in prison on that 5-year time, dude. I went on a stretcher, dude. They gave me Narcan, bring me back, and I popped out for year 5, dude, and I was locked and loaded, ready to get it even harder. With a little bit of skill, some more contacts, and some great networking. Let's go. I was, dude, this is insane. Just talking about this stuff. It's like, who does not get that? Like, I met people when I was in prison, they did a 17-year bid, and they did all of that 17 for probably maybe it was murder or a big crime or something. I went in and out and in and out and in and out, dude. And it was worse every single time because of that addiction, man. I couldn't get it in my brain, dude.
Because being the tattoo guy and being the tattoo artist on the yard is a gift and a curse, dude. It's a gift and a curse because people will pay you for you, especially when you're as good as you are. They'll pay you a year ahead of time.
Yes. And that's what it was. Hey, here, you got a paper, right? I'm going to give you a paper. We'll get high. We're going to do some. And I had so much clientele in there, it was over. So I always really stayed high in there. It was a terrible thing, and you're absolutely right. It's a blessing and a curse, man. I survived through it, but I was actually crushed. And I remember, dude, getting out of that 5-year term, that's when the big time, that came into my third time. When I got out from that 5 years, I did good for a second. I think I had 4 months out, 6 months. I call it good with 6 months out. Who knows what it was? That's crazy. I ended up marrying some girl, right? And I got into trying to save my life. I tried to do the best that I could, man, but I still had that obsession, dude. And I really wanted to get high, dude. I liked getting high, dude. No recovery involved, man. And I just started getting around family members and people, and I pulled, one of the biggest things that really set me straight was I pulled people into my life, and I know that we could all relate about it, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about this right here.
Yeah.
They never want to talk about the people, the women, that they pull into their lives, that they actually crush. They crush these people, and they turn them into addicts themselves. Right? And it's a terrible thing, but we've all done it to some degree. We hurt people. I ended up hurting my ex-wife, dude, bringing her in. She became an addict, and to this day, she's still in Apache Junction, probably somewhere, using something. And I played a role in that. I played a part in that. And that really crushed me. And when I did that, I went even harder. And I lost everything, dude. And I ended up, from that moment coming out, I did a 10-year sentence. When I walked into the 10 years, I remember going in there after I brought my wife into addiction. I hurt my whole family. I had the cops chasing me with about 15 different charges, from home invasion to, possession of dangerous drugs and everything in between. That was a real doozy, man, because I went hard, because at that point I was like, dude, what am I getting, 20? What does it even matter? Let's rock and roll. I don't care. I don't care who's in my path. A path of destruction that led from the first time, second time, into the third time, that catapulted me into my last bid, which was 10 years. I got into that 10-year sentence. Those first 3 years, I just wanted to bury the pain. That's it. How many people, dude, that are going to be listening to this podcast that can relate to that? I don't want to be there. Dude, I'm burying it with heroin. 3 years. I got 10 years. I don't care anymore.
I said for the first, half of my sentence, dude, I'll just nod out fucking the whole way through, dude. But I'll tell you what. Recovery, sobriety time was the best, fastest, quickest prison time ever. Getting high time sucks. Anyways, my time, especially store day with no money.
Hard times,
Store
right?
day, no money.
Dude, just like you, Jason, I came into prison and I knew how to fight a little bit. But, dude, when I became an addict in prison, dude, I had to learn how to fight quick, bro. Yeah. No money on store day, can't cover this, bro. I had my hands in all of it, bro. Way in over my head. So I learned those things in prison. I was actually raised in some form, shape, or form in prison since I was 18 years old. And it was, dude, learning how to hustle, learning how to overcome, communicate on that facet, dude, in prison was unbelievable. But moving into that 3-year term, I buried myself inside of that. I did time in Kingman myself. I think I moved from, I can't even recall. I've been everywhere in the state of Arizona. I've been every prison. I've been everything. I've been from SMU all the way down to Central Unit to every single 4-yard, from Tucson to Buckeye to, I've been to all of them, bro. And I've upscaled through getting high, fighting, and then coming back down to the hole. And I've worked myself many, many years through that. So I ended up dropping myself down. I believe in that first 10 years, I got high for 3 years. I made it in Kingman. And listen to this.
The riot was...
Yeah, the riot. I was inside the riot. Before this happened, this was a magical moment. This was my clean date, was January 5th, 2015. I got up in the worst prison system, Kingman, which you can relate for this. I think it was the 2-yard had, I might be wrong on this, but it was 1,000+ people.
Surbat.
Yeah, Surbat. It was 1,000+ people on each yard. And that, they had everything there. They had the phones, they had the drugs, everything was there. I got into that, and I remember using so many days, and I got my ass kicked, dude, I think it was every Friday, dude, I was scrapping, bro. I ain't got the money. Let's go down. Let's throw down in the bathroom. Let's get it, dude. And I remember getting knotted up so many times. It's like, I don't care anymore, dude. Let's roll. I get another paper because I know I'm fighting on Friday. I'm like, come on and get it, bro. I ain't paying you. I started to get into very dangerous territories on this realm, right? Mm-hmm. As I did that, for some reason, I scooted out of this whole realm on that 3-yard, right? They came to me, and I never UA'd me or nothing. For some reason, they said, you're going to this 2-yard. You're dropping down. I was like, dude, you're kidding me, right? So I went and I scrapped, right? I don't know no more money. Boom, I scrapped. Here's what I got. I'm leaving to the 2-yard. I went to that 2-yard, okay? One of the most, it was flooded with, and I really changed. That's where I got sober. I went over there, and they give you your legal boxes? I couldn't even carry 2 legal boxes, Ron. I was so out of shape and underweight from being an addict in prison that it was unreal. I couldn't carry them. So these guys came over. They had a little bit of recovery over there. Thomas Pickerel, dude, big shout out to you, big dog, man. He showed up, dude, unreal, man. Chris, my buddy Chris over there casting on, dude. They were over there.
Shout out Chris.
Shout out Chris, dude. You know Chris, dude.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Chris, dude. They came over there, and I remember I got high for about a month, dude. I ended up into the yard office, dude, on another stretcher, Narcan, dude. And he came over to me, and he says, bro, there's no way of living, bro. Little Thomas, he goes, I know of a place, dude. It's a pretty crazy place. It's a pretty crazy place. It starts about 6 a.m., dude. It's an NA meeting, dude. Okay, this is an NA meeting. And at that point, dude, I was just shedding tears, Ron. And I was like, dude, I don't care, bro. I'm done, dude. I'm just done. I've been fighting for the last 3-4 weeks, dude, over at that I'm beat down, dude. This is rough. I go into that meeting, and I'll never forget it. Matthew Leathers, Chris Castanon, Thomas Pickerel, bro. They're all sitting in this meeting, and they're up there. Real quiet meeting, dude. And they got this chips, little plastic NA chips, right? I go into that meeting, and it goes around, round robin little deal. And I remember jumping up and telling them, listen, I don't give a shit what you guys got. You got it? Give it to me, dude. What is it? I need saving, dude. I want to hear it right here, right now. Blew up total desperation, surrender mode, dude. And after that meeting, they all came in, dude, and they sat me down. They're like, listen, bro, you are got some serious issues going on, dude. You are broken. We're going to take you underneath our wing, dude. And from that moment on, I stayed sober over there. And I'll never forget it. Within 1 to 2 months, 60 days, I remember sitting at that park bench over there, remembering it was a forever thing. I remember telling Chris that I'm so happy about what I have. I went to every single addict in those pods, and I was like, bro, I found something new to put in the spoon. You ain't going to believe this, dude. You're not going to believe it. And that's what I did. I was high from that very moment, explaining to those people that, dude, there's something else. And I'm getting chills talking about it, because when you're in that realm, okay, total in and out of prison, 17 years, dude, you've had your ass beat from every single type of, dude, you get into that, and that was by rock bottom, under rock bottom, under rock bottom, dude. And I hit that moment. I was around the right time, the right place, the right people. And I don't ever, in that moment, I don't ever feel like I ever had an obsession again. It happened very, very fast. Spiritual, God was there. I don't know what took place, but I switched that spoon for recovery at that moment, and it never happened to me again. I got 11 years clean. 11 years clean. It's never happened. And I went right into, they were talking about, hey, listen, first you got to understand that you're powerless over your addiction and your life is unmanageable. Whoop, I got to go spread the message. First, I don't care about the first, I don't care about step one. I'm spreading the message, dude. I'm getting out here saving people. And I think my whole life, dude, and my successes on where I've become is because as long as I am being a vessel of that power to transform me, I know that I'm going to be taken care of. I know that I could see the light coming on. I didn't know the steps for a very long time. I didn't know them. I learned them gradually. I wasn't the guy that went in there and just got them done in 6 months. Dude, we did the back to basic thing. But the one thing I always remember is I need to give this away. And I knew that if I gave it away, I felt good, got sober, and I was passionate. I was enthusiastic, and I was gonna transform my life, man. And so that service that's the story, Jason. That's how it started, from prison all the way into my recovery. And to this day, I know that power will always resonate me and flow through me as long as I'm giving to somebody, and that could be anybody. But I need to turn it up. You don't come in at a 4, bro. You come in at a 10, period. You blow their hair back, dude, then you dial it down. And that's, as long as you're doing that, you're staying motivated, you're staying sober, and you are building. And I always go back to that anchor points of all those things that I did. The wife, the family, myself. I have to do those things because that's my way of my amends, dude. That's my way of, hey, I'm going to take the time to do this with you, even though everybody probably thinks that you've been bet against, cast out, put down. Nobody wants to pay attention to you. That's the definition of my story, from one addict helping another.
Woo. And you remember,
hallelujah.
And I'll tell you right now, dude, I remember the night that you got released, and I want to pick it up there. I remember that I went and I met up with Adam, and we walked you over across from Yard 2, and we walked you, because they put you over, and I think they moved you to Central the night before or something to release you in the morning. So if I remember correctly, you went late at night.
Yes, that's right.
And we walked you to the gate, dude, and you still had 2 years left. So you emailed us through that whole time, but.
Yep.
And I remember I asked you, I said, "Are you ready?" And you're like, "Bro, I've been ready for this. I put the work in, dude. It's showtime now, dude, and I cannot wait, dude." And so getting released in 19, I want to give a shout out to your friend,
Jacob Lindenstein.
Jacob. Big shout out to Jacob.
Yep.
He was probably the most constant support you've ever had in your life on a friendship level, and allowed you to parole and live with him and his family, and gave you that fresh start that puts you ahead of most. Just having somebody that has that safe place for you, like my wife did for me. And then pick it up from there. So you get released in 19, and I know you were gonna start tattoo parlors, and I know you're very, 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 very good at all that, right?
Yes.
And you jumped into that, but was that your purpose? Was that your passion? You got into some trade type things. Ultimately, where we've landed today, which in my opinion is a combination of its own path of recovery if you do it right, a sales team.
Sure.
Or it could be the complete opposite. But why don't you pick it up where you was like, in 19 when you were getting released and after doing 10 years, living this identity for so long, sponsoring the whole damn yard. Now it's time to actually put it into motion. You weren't just good ideas. They were goals and you were ready to start to achieve them.
Yes.
And what did that time?
You're going to love this. You're going to love this because we're going to break from that story. I don't think we ever really talked about this. When I got out and I landed my first couple days, I was an alien, a different being, dude. I was a gladiator. Dude, it was unreal. We trained in there, Jason. We trained. And when I got out and I was around other people, they weren't ready for me. They were not ready for me. Super intense, 100 miles an hour, doing what I'm saying what I'm doing. I'm calling people. I'm looking for opportunity. I'm connecting at a fast pace, very fast pace, a very aggressive pace. So I got out with Jacob. And Jacob had seen me. He knows what all this is. I went out, stayed with him and his family. He's got 5 kids. He gave me a room over there. I'm sitting talking. I remember sitting talking to his wife, blew her hair back, dude. And she's like, whoa, I mean, dude, you just got to settle down a little bit. Just calm down. Everything's
maybe just church on Sunday. Just start there.
Everything's going to be all right, dude. We're going to get you dialed in here. And it was just like, I didn't need permission from nobody. I didn't need nobody. This is who I am. I didn't try to impress nobody. I didn't try to pretend to be somebody that I wasn't. I knew that I carried a power that I harnessed on a daily basis for those many years with you guys, and all I needed to do was do and put myself in those positions. There was no like, hey, Matt, we really think you should do this. You should go over there. I had ideas. I had paperwork. I had structures. And when I failed forward, I had another plan. I had a whiteboard. I was going everywhere. I was touching everything I possibly could, and I knew that I was good. At that moment, it was pretty crazy in my story. Now, a lot of people, they indulge in recovery when they get out, and I believe in that, right? And they jumped in and go to meetings. I needed to prove to myself that I could pick up, dude, and build a career real quick, dude, and get established, get the right woman, and get in there. So I took about 90 days to 6 months dedicating myself into trying new things and going out there and doing that. And I went in from there, and I did go to some meetings. I didn't participate in sponsorship or anything like that for that first 6 months. I went into, being around my buddy Jacob, talking to main people, which I seen a lot of people. I would touch in with my buddies, and I did go to meetings, dude. And the one thing I found right off the rip was I knew that what we had in there was special. It was different, bro, because I went into these meetings and I spoke and I engaged and I talked to people, and it was just like, Matt, you're on a whole nother dimension. You're on a whole nother dimension. And I made sure that I stood at the end of the room and I shook hands and I looked into people's eyes, dude. Hey, call me. I was engaged in these things and I wanted to help. It was just different. I dedicated a lot of my time to jump inside of what I knew I was going to do, which was tattoos. I got myself in a tattoo shop, a couple of them, right? And I was super passionate inside of that. And I learned real quick in that tattoo shop, got a lot of stories, dude, not enough time for it, but I started to learn that that's not where I needed to be, the best version of myself, right? A lot of we call it partying, we call it drugs, we call it women, stuff like that. I knew that I was built for something better. So in that time, my little brother Nick was married to a girl, Destiny, and she was a heroin addict, and I talked to her on the phone, and I was trying to save her life. And what really changed me and really catapulted me into leaving all that was I told her, you're worth it and you can change. And she's like, Matt, I've never had anybody that told me this. 2 days later, she died. She rolled over her car, got spit out, and it crushed her. And it changed. It just changed me. It just changed me. I left that shop and I started migrating into other things inside the trade system. And I just felt that wasn't for me, and I didn't really indulge inside the recovery community. I didn't get a job in recovery or nothing. I jumped inside the trades, but it was another indicator that showed me that it was pretty wild, man. So I jumped inside to the trades. I got a job at CMC Machinery, tried that. I realized that I was around cowboys that were 6'9", had hands that were as big as my head, and I'm only 5'6", and I'm not meant for this place. It was like, dude, okay, they're sucking rebar, dude, about 120 miles an hour, dude, as I almost took off my arm. I tried that, then I got into a place. I met a guy that was in the trade system at Jacuzzi. I started doing bath remodels, and I really fit into there because my leadership.
You did that for a while, yeah.
I did. I almost did it for 2 years, I believe, and I really got in there. I started as a laborer and moved up to my own truck and my own team. And I learned electrical. I learned framing. I learned how to do plumbing and all that type of stuff. That's where I met my buddy Corey that now works with me. And I learned leadership inside of that. And I really learned the trades. And I to be honest, guys, I needed to learn that stuff because, dude, my lifestyle and this, I hope this resonates with somebody that's listening. Dude, I never knew anything, bro. All I knew was prison and addiction and tattoos. I didn't know anything, bro. I didn't know anything. I was lost, broken, and forgotten. Matt, what do you know? I don't know. I know how to do time, bro. That's what I do. I was built in there. So I needed to prove to myself that I could go out and create something in the trades of myself, dude, and learn what I had in recovery. So I took everything I knew in recovery, connection, right? Selling myself. And I told this guy, I remember he gave me an interview and he says, Matt, I said, I don't know nothing. Circular saw, skill saw, I don't know nothing, but I promise you this, there's nobody that can match my energy. I guarantee it. And he's like, you know what, dude, I'll tell you this right now. You're dead right. I've never met anybody like you. He goes, give me an interview tomorrow. If you don't know how to do this, and this, research it on YouTube. And I came in and he gave me a test on how to run a tape measure, how to read a tape measure, how to use a circular saw. I passed everyone flying colors because of my attitude, because of my connection, because of my will of wanting a better life, because of what I learned in recovery. He gave me that test. He built me, dude, and I stayed. As I went on, dude, I kind of went into, as I was doing that, I started talking to Adam and Ronnie, right? Ronnie was a big deal, and he was into the sales game, right? And I was connecting with homeowners. I was using every single thing that I ever learned inside of the trades of leadership and management, and connection, working with a homeowner, finishing a project. And I migrated into something that transformed my life, and it was door-to-door sales. And getting into door-to-door sales, with both you guys know a lot about it. It was you don't sell, you don't eat. Yeah. It's self-development in disguise.
You want a raise? Give yourself one now, then, brother. That's all on you.
That's it. And I moved into that, and it was like Adam came into it. He's like, listen, now let me try this thing out. And we really came into it together, right? He shoved into it first, and then I came right after him because, like every other story inside the industry, let me try it first, and we'll see if it works. Then I'm going to jump. And he went into it and he struggled a lot. Dude, you know his story. And I jumped in, dude, right underneath him. And I remember, dude, it changed my life because it was like, I needed something to be a challenge of like what prison was, what addiction was. I needed to overcome it, and I needed something to learn that what life and death was. And that was a commission-based salary. You don't sell, you don't eat, you don't move forward, you stand still and you die. And that's where my whole life was built inside of that. And I got a job working for Mission Restoration with a lot of good guys, probably a total of 140 to 160 project managers that were over there. And I remember at that point in time, I got my wife pregnant, and I had twins on the way.
Shout out to your wife,
Shout
the
out.
twins,
Yes,
the boys.
dude.
Woo!
Yep. No, 100%. It was, and I remember going into that, and it was like, okay, so I put a line of loan on my house, pulled out all pulled all the equity out of the house, right? I looked at it and I said, you know what, man? Let's get it. Twins on the way. I left. I got $8,200 in the bank, dude. I'm like, you know what, dude? Let's go. Let's get it, dude. Pushed all in on this.
You went all in. You bet on yourself, dude. You pushed in the chips, dude. Yep. Everybody gave you advice, told you not to do it, not the right time,
Yep. Everybody. And this is a testament to anybody that ever hears this. Somebody sits you down and they say, you know what, dude, you're going to have to go through this. You got an obstacle to overcome here. You're going to struggle with this and you can't do that. If I would have listened to that, I would never be in the place that I'm in. I overcame that and I said, dude, sit on it, dude. I'm good. I'll figure it out. I'm an overcomer. Dude, if I went through what I went through in addiction and prison, I can overcome anything and go anywhere. My old boss tried to keep me at jacuzzi. He's like, oh, I did it in Wisconsin. You don't want to do that. I'm good. Left, bro.
You're not me, brother.
Moved through the ranks.
You ain't put the work in I put in.
Yes, dude. And that's really, bet on yourself, man. Bet on what you've learned in recovery. Bet on all those assets that you've learned. You've exchanged the defects for those assets. Invest inside those. It's not about what you have in your account. It's about who you've been built to be through developing in those. So if you're getting out of prison, you're in a halfway house, you're struggling because you're on the streets, man. Your shoes ain't freaking tied. You don't have the clothes. You're getting food box. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you've invested in yourself and the recovery circle that you've created. You bet on that. You move forward. And people will bet on you when you got a tremendous amount of work ethic, that energy, dude. You got a lot of charisma. You're responsible. You connect with people. You're a hard worker, but also you have leadership and management skills. People are going to bet on you, and that's what happened with me. I was around a good group of people, but I learned that I went out in door-to-door sales, and that formed me. And I moved from the bottom of that company all the way to the top 5. I think a year later, they were giving me a trip to Mexico, giving me award, cash bonuses, and I got into that, and what I really learned was what got me there was what we learned at North Unit, man. That's what it was. It was no money. Nobody stepped in and said, Matt, I'm going to sponsor you with $100K. And then nobody said, Matt, I'm going to give you a truck. Nobody said, Matt, I'm going to give you this free house. I'm going to give you all these jobs. I'm going to give you all this, dude. They didn't do nothing. I built myself from rock bottom by what I learned in recovery and staying on the path.
That's it. When
I did that, Jason, I just like in recovery, a lot of people followed me, dude. I was built around people like Adam and a lot of people, dude, that were underneath my team. I was the only guy at Mission Restoration to build a 17-man team all the way down. And dude, Adam's like, hey, my boy Adam, bro, great recruiter, awesome guy, dude. I love him to death. He's a great friend of mine. Shoved these people underneath me. And I learned to develop a leadership skill and management skills that I adopted from recovery. And recovery and sales was an atomic bomb for me because I had people that will follow me. I could change their life, not only mentally, physically, and spiritually now, but financially.
Yes.
And that grew. And I literally went out, and I remember I sold a apartment complex. Me and Adam, dude, did about 6 of them together. My partner, dude, and dude, we were just, I love him to death, dude. We sold something, I think we split 100, 200 grand, or 180 to 200 grand a piece. And when that happened, we went to California. We're walking on the beach, and I said, this is it, dude. This is it. I'm good. We're starting our own company. We are doing it, dude. We are, boom, let's get it. There's nothing that's going to stop me. That fast. Mm-hmm. And we left there, and my mind geared through who I am, where I came from. I never look at any obstacles or any failures. I always look on why it's going to work, not why it's not going to work. And from that moment, I was built into an entrepreneur, a dreamer, a visionary by my skills on what I learned in recovery. That's what it was. That's how I was built. The 12 steps, bottom line. That's what it was. And when I bet on that, I succeeded in ways that I couldn't even dream of. And from that moment, I came back from California and I started to put the pieces together. Matt, you can't get a general contractor's license or you can't take the test because you're a felon, but who do you need to do? I started putting the pieces together. I'm hustling, bro. Putting all these pieces together. And I called my buddy Jacob Lindenstein. I need the license, get the license. I need it within 30 days, dude. Boom, done. Started pulling people in for the cause, dude. And we grew and built the company. We started off from rock bottom. Nothing, zero. First year, 12 million. Second year, we're going to do probably 20 to 24 million. And I'm guessing third, fourth year, we're going to be upwards into $30 to $40 million company.
Dude. Yes, dude.
Every single person that is underneath me. Big Justin Frakes, big shout out to this guy, dude, who's been by my side since the beginning, dude. He is who sharpens my sword on a daily basis. My Trevor Ellis, Aiden Lattin, Jacob Lindenstein, Sean Powell. Everybody, dude, has been through what we've been through, bro. And we all collaborated together to build this thing for us. Right? Doing things that other companies are not doing, right? And it's a magical thing, man, because it's ours and we get to create a structure and a sales team based upon people that have entered out of prison or that are on the streets to come in and do this. And most of these guys, like me and myself, I just explained my whole story to you guys. I never made 40 grand a year. Yeah. I never made 40 grand, let alone 300K a year. Never, not alone, dude, 500K a year from these top salesmen that are making this in this industry. Now, with that being said, guys, what it does is it does 2 things. If you're not right on the inside and you ain't got that recovery, it'll ruin you.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to make sure. That's why people that are in recovery that are based around that step 10, 11, and 12, right? And their character is formed and built and they're disciplined and consistent. It works for them rather than against them. Yep. And that's where you see in the roofing industry today where multiple people have changed their lives. And I have done it, and I have created a sales team with help of my direct partners. Cannot take responsibility for anything. We have done it as a team, right? And it's continuing to build. Every single month it grows. We have never backtracked. We always progress. And that's it. That's it. And we change lives.
Constant never-ending growth, just like recovery.
Yeah, just like recovery, man. And that's sales is what changed. And I've seen it, Jason, we've watched it through all of our friends. The roofing industry has changed people's lives. It's insane abundance. You know what I mean? These guys are going out and they learn lessons of, hey, don't buy a Ferrari, dude, your first year, right? You invest that money and they learn those lessons. But it's absolutely changed not only their lives, but it's changed their families' lives. A lot of these guys were sleeping in 1-bedroom or studio apartments, dude, and their children were sleeping on the couch in the living room, dude. Now they're in their houses with backyards with pools, dude, and they're going on vacations and they can contribute, family time. Dude,
and we're talking probably, I know of at least probably 40 guys, but the biggest contributor and key component and linchpin of the whole entire thing was the foundation and fundamentals of recovery, a 12-step program, a path of recovery, the fire crew, whatever that looked like, some form of recovery that they've worked long enough to become who they are, change their identity, and find some consistency so when they have this opportunity now, they can seize it. instead of it seizing them, because I've seen it a million times in and out the game. But the crew can be a path of recovery in itself when it's led by individuals like you and Justin and Sean and all these people that surrounds themselves with recovery and sobriety and self-improvement. Then it translates into the company, the daily action steps, and every single thing that they do. So
Yes.
I mean the outcomes speak for themselves.
Yes. No, and it's absolutely there. There's no doubt about it, man. I think and everybody that's connected with us, when you look at our Facebook, we have, I don't even know how many mutual friends we have together. It's insane. Hundreds, something like that, dude. Everybody knows everybody, and they see the changes within it. So
I'm sure that all of our listeners all across the country and everyone going from rock bottom to financial freedom, to do it with people who want to support you and love you and motivate you and train you and teach you and bring you with them, and being in recovery is a team sport, and surrounding yourself with that type of team. What type of team members are you guys looking for at Valor? What type of sales reps are you looking for? What type of leadership team members are you looking for?
Yep.
If you had to speak directly out there for someone looking for a job right now, what would you be looking for?
Yeah, well, I think we've talked a lot about my story and about how I originated and how I was built to be the way that I am inside the roofing industry so far. But the one thing is, if there's anybody out there, man, that's inside the recovery community, dude, that's got some good sobriety and has really walked through the sponsorship aspect of working with a lot of people, right? And is really good at connection, sponsorship, sales. They're really going to thrive at this, right? But anybody, dude, that really has the personality traits of connecting with anybody, some of our people in the roofing industry through homeowners, right? They're 45 years old to 60 years old, right? And some of them work from home, and other ones through commercial properties are investors and property managers, et cetera. But it's somebody that has a very outgoing personality, that loves to connect, that loves a challenge, right? That loves to wants to build something, that has the ability to manage, lead, and uplift. And I do want to say this job this industry is not for somebody that wants to be a lone wolf. It's somebody that wants to build a empire, dude, of people to change. It's not about the money. It's about the lives that you can change through the process. So that's who we're really looking for. And there's some people, dude, that don't even know that you have this. We're looking for the people that we can tap into this. I can transform you into side of something like this. And it's happened. I've got 20 different people on my team that it's happened with. So that's who we're looking for. If you're interested inside of this, you can reach out to me directly. And it's a pretty magical thing. We are located in Prescott Valley, Arizona, but all over the state of Arizona. We're getting ready to start a southern market right now. I just talked to 5 reps. We're getting ready to hit it off because we've got 10 to 20 new storms down in the southern market, right? Oh, yeah. I'm also giving, cash incentives for the right people that want to come aboard, man, to make sure that there's a platform or a cushion that eases you from one industry or one company from the next, right? We want to supply you with great leadership, great management, and a culture like no other, man, right? So that's a big thing. My phone number directly is going to be 520-251-3666. Call me on this number, man, if you feel like you're ready, if you feel like you're stuck, if you've been cast out, put down, beat up, right, and you want something else. If you're in the trades and you're stuck in selling tile, selling windows, selling solar, selling something from another company, I am the one, right? We are the people for you, man. That's our goal of Valor Contracting. We want to be able to create a better way of living for you and your family. But also, man, we want to be able to embed and heighten your character and your service inside the community where you can change lives one person at a time, man. And it's here, and it's special, man. Please reach out.
And please reach out. I think I might get a part-time job. I don't know, brother.
But you got time.
Yeah. But again, if you or a loved one is desperately in need and you need to hit detox or treatment before becoming on Matt's crew, or with all seriousness, and it's really nothing to really joke about, if anyone's listening, suffering from substance abuse, mental health, you need help, you have questions, you don't know if it's a family member, if you're looking to get in touch with Matt and you didn't catch the number, or you want to get on the episode, or you want a copy of it, or you want to be a part of Valor, or you want information on sales, or any of those things, you can find us at Desert Recovery Centers, desertrecoverycenters.com. Ron Alessi, Ronnie No Matter What, Jason and Sarah, all the social media platforms, the Powerless to Powerful Recovery podcast, Valor Contracting on all social media. Reach out to us. We are here to help. But But this episode, man, this was so
awesome.
special, man. To have
Epic.
you here after all these years, just officiating the wedding with all the guys in the wedding, to now being here, I'm just excited and motivated to see what we get to do together, how many people we can help, how many more leaders we can turn out, and what type of difference and impact all three of us continue to make on this world. So
Yes.
it's just been an awesome pleasure.
Love it. It's been an honor.
Thanks, Matt.